want to do it. I want to do it. No, I want to do it. Oh, I want to do it. Hello, and welcome to the Human Podcast, where human issues are talked about with purpose. Now, here are your hosts, Wes and Ryan. That's really good. Thank you. When do they start talking?
See the little red light? There's that little red light on the camera now.
On the camera?
It's because we're video now.
We're video.
You were like ultra close to me.
I like it.
I don't know. It makes me feel a little uncomfortable.
You uncomfortable?
Yeah. So.
It's a little.
Where's my rape whistle? I can't whistle. Oh.
What's wrong, man?
There's nothing wrong.
No, it's good.
So, for those of you that don't know what the heck we're talking about, because you're listening to this on your little device for a podcast, we are now on video.
Video.
So make sure you search us out, and you can check out where we are. We are like in a swamp, kind of like thing.
Marshland. This is marsh preserve kind of stuff. We had geese.
Yeah, we got an epic
flying
shot
in the background
because our camera guy forgot cables, but I stepped in as the camera guy. And I got probably like award-winning National Geographic type stuff.
We're just going to be throwing Liviu under the bus like the whole time. Just like, there he is. Just toss him under the bus again.
And his name's Liviu.
Liviu.
Not leave you, but Liviu.
We did this already.
I know. But
what is your problem?
It's reminding the audience.
They don't need to know?
Well, apparently. All right. So I got a story for you.
Okay.
So, as you know, I was traveling recently.
Traveling, yes.
East Coast. And normally I drive. We do these road trip things, but we flew. And
you don't have Ebola, right?
Well, we're not sure. No, I don't have.
What's the incubation period?
20 days.
Oh my gosh!
And you can only get it through spit and stuff.
I'm not using your mic, am I?
You might be. No, I don't have Ebola, but it kind of goes along with that.
Okay.
So I'm sitting there nicely watching my James Bond movie,
right?
And the stewardess comes over the thing and she's like, hey, if there's a doctor on board, we have a patient that has a problem.
Dr. Chapman.
So, right, we'll get there. So
no, you didn't.
Here's the fun part is that
this is called a tracheotomy.
Yeah. Here's the fun part is that as soon as she says that, the plane goes into panic, right? Because Ebola, East Coast,
oh no,
flying out of things. So everyone starts to be like 300 passengers start to squirm. And I'm sitting there, and I was nosy, and I noticed that the guy sitting next to me was a doctor.
He was a doctor.
And I'm like, I wonder if he's going to push his call button. I should push it for him, because I know he's a doctor, because I saw him doing his stuff. And he pushes the call button.
Okay.
So stewardess comes over to him, and she's telling him that there's a passenger who's throwing up and having problems. And he's like, okay, well, I'm a neurosurgeon, so I don't really know if I can help with RN kind of, maybe if there's a family doctor or something, internal medicine on, that would be
basically
better.
I'm too smart to help.
Yeah, but he was nice about it though. He was kind of
that's what he's saying.
Yeah, it was kind of like, this isn't what he does.
Okay.
So they made another announcement. There's no other doctor on the plane. Okay. So they come back to him and he's like, sure, I'll help. And so she's like, yeah, this girl's throwing up. She has a high fever. And
she's got these bloody blisters on her face.
And she,
oh my gosh.
And she was African American on top of that, right?
Oh,
so
no.
I can't make this up. This is really happening. So and I'll get into it, but the way that she started throwing up wasn't very pleasant
kind of stuff.
Yeah, it was crazy. So anyway, and then she's like, but what's really going on is this girl suffers from anxiety disorder and depression.
Gotcha.
And so she's freaking out.
Right.
And so I'm like, do I say anything? Yeah, I'm going to say something. And so he's kind of like, well, I'd have nothing to do with that.
Right.
But I'll come take her vitals and see what's going on. And I'm like, well, if you need some help with, the anxiety and depression stuff, I'd be more than happy to talk to her. Because it was a younger, she's in her, I think she's 25, 26, whatever. Okay. So I'm like, I'd be more happy to help. And he turns to me and he's like, oh, cool, you're a psychiatrist? And I'm like, how do you answer this? Sure.
Sure. So, that's not reassuring.
No. So I'm like, yeah, I'll be whatever you want me to be. And he's like, yeah, why don't you come back and assist me? And he's like, what's your name? And I'm like, Wes Chapman. He's like, all right, Dr. Chapman. And I'm like,
Dr. Chapman.
This is awesome.
Come on.
No, you can't make this up.
Oh my God.
So the whole time I'm like, do I say anything or do I just I'm just going to go roll with it.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah.
So we get back there. And I know enough about internal medicine that I can hang with this guy, right? So he's like, well, we should get her blood pressure. We should get her vitals. So he and I are doing her vitals in the back of the plane. And he's like, having me help him, and I'm totally making stuff
Is this
up.
what it means when you join the Mile High Club?
Apparently not. No, this is not what that means.
I don't know. This
goes back to any of you who have listened to some 30 podcasts we've done so far. We've made jokes about how do we become doctors, right?
Right.
This is the quickest way to doing it.
Is pretend.
Is to pretend. So here I am in the back of the airplane.
Yeah.
Patient's laying on the ground.
Yeah.
She's vomiting everywhere. She has a high fever. It's crazy, right? The whole plane is starting to freak out, okay? Because this is obviously a situation. And now you have two doctors, right? Me and the real doctor.
You actually have one doctor, but okay, go.
According
continue.
to the plane, there's two doctors.
Yeah, right.
So anyway, he does her vitals. Nothing's, crazy. He's like, no, she doesn't look like she has Ebola or anything. This is just, she's sick, right? She's
because
just got
he knows
fire.
neurosurgeon.
We're all masked up, by the way, too. Like we're in gloves, masked up. Yeah, we're good to go. So not Ebola kits, but close to it. So anyway, we're sitting there.
I thought you were going to travel with an Ebola kit.
I was going to, but I didn't have time to order it. So
then you would have really looked like a doctor.
I know.
Let me get out my Ebola
Let me get my Ebola kit, and I'll assist the patient. But anyway, so he gets done. And she's still like shaking and, she's in visible pain. Plus she's just dealing with an anxiety. She's actually having an attack. So he kind of just steps away and he's like, all right, she's yours.
She's all yours.
And he goes and sits back in her chair. Yeah. And so I sit there. Yeah. Actually, he did. I don't think it was a scotch, but he had some kind of.
I'll bet you it was a scotch.
The plane took care of.
Provided that.
Yeah, we were well taken care of at this point. So this is about an hour into this thing, right?
Right.
It's a 6-hour flight. We were about 2 hours into the flight when this started happening. So we're about an hour in, right? I wanted to watch a James Bond movie and call it a good flight, but whatever. So I end up sitting there and I'm talking to her. And I spend about 2 hours calming her down, going through her past, going through her childhood, and then but really moving her away from all that. So that's what she wanted to talk about. Right. But I had her talking about like cool stuff, like her family, brother, and she had actually a really good childhood. She had really good things, but she just whatever. So long story short, I ended up spending 2 hours with her. Well, meanwhile, I'm noticing that people are videotaping, like recording this on their phones, taking pictures, all this. So I get the captain. And I'm like, we can't have this going on with somebody who has anxiety. Like, we've got to get her in a private place. We've got to close the curtain. And you need to tell the passengers, this is not something to be recording.
Right. This is private.
So this is private. And they're like,
says Dr. Chapman.
Says Dr. Chapman. That's right.
Boom! Boom!
I got a pilot for American Airlines calling me Dr. Chapman. So it gets better. So I'm doing all this, and I have to train the entire flight staff because they're having problems with the other passengers freaking out. There's other things. So I bring all like, I've got 2 or 3 flight girls back there, and I'm training them how to go through and talk to the passengers about calming everybody down. You can't make this stuff up.
Dr. Abagnale.
Yeah. So we're going through and calming everybody down, the whole plane, getting everyone to calm down. You got some people that are a little bit more than others, and some people don't care. And then you had some really nice people who were like, look, this girl's just sick, right?
Right.
So anyway, this whole thing, 4 hours. Well, I don't know what, but our plane was delayed, and I had a transfer. So I had to get onto another plane. So I'm like, oh crap! Like,
covered with vomit.
I got a podcast to do. Like, I can't be late. Can't be late for this stuff.
Right.
Ain't nobody got time for this.
This is important.
This is important. Yeah. So I was like, how do I? Oh, check that out. You guys can't see that, but we can, and it's freaking awesome. So. Well,
stinks to be on the other side of the camera sometimes.
Yeah, if we had a cool camera guy, he would have got that, but he's still working out. So anyway, just kidding, you Liviu.
You're gonna get.
I know he's gonna throw something at me. It's gonna like come.
He's gonna throw you the
end, that's gonna be B-roll of me throwing in there. No, Liviu's awesome. Anyway, so back to my story because it's all about me.
Apparently.
Continue. No, this has everything to do with what we're going to talk
Chapman,
about. So doesn't that just have an awesome ring to it?
It does, as long as there's Dr. Andrews sitting next to you.
Yeah.
Although
just fly with me and it'll happen.
Continue.
So I'm doing all of this. They're doing all the paperwork. And I'm like, oh, crap, there's paperwork that they're going to need something from me.
Doctor signature. Just done.
So she's like, so what's your something number? And I'm like, oh, that's in my checked bag. Like, I didn't even know what she was talking about. The other doctor, he's like, it's in my checked bag. So I'm like, oh, that's apparently what you do when you're a doctor. You put that in your checked bag.
It's in my checked bag. Obviously.
Duh. Like, neurosurgeon. Hello.
Yeah, I don't have time for that. So.
Yeah, exactly. So delayed. We're about a half an hour delayed, right? And between the flight and this and everything that's happened, somehow we ended up being a half an hour. I don't know if they had to like circle somewhere and make sure they didn't have to do an emergency landing. I don't know.
They didn't have to put you in a quarantine zone.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm looking at the flight person, the one that runs the whole flight crew, and I'm like, how? I have a connecting flight, and I only had a half an hour, so I'm going to miss my connecting flight. And he's like, oh, no worries. We'll call the captain and delay the plane. And I'm like,
Yeah.
that's pretty cool. I was like,
could you call the captain and delay the plane for me, please?
yes. So they did.
Get out of here.
No, so they did. So, and it was only like 5 minutes, so nobody really was complaining, but they held the plane. I was like, that's pretty epic. So that was my flight home. And then they deboard the entire plane, and it's just me, the flight crew, and the patient, right?
Yeah.
That's her legal name, is the patient. And so
Right.
the patient, myself, and then they bring on a wheelchair and they do all the thing. They got to take her off, do her vitals again, everything. And I'm escorting her off, right? And the whole flight crew and everything. And I was like, this is pretty cool. But this isn't about like being pretty cool, like showing up. But to me, it was, here's somebody who's in need, right?
Yeah.
And we were able to help him. And the doctor did a really cool job too. I mean, he was a neurosurgeon, and yes, I get it. Like I think he's doing his 6th year of residency or something, So I mean, he's not like
not a real doctor
all the way.
No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, not a real doctor.
You and he are the same. That's why he said it was in his checked bag, because he doesn't have one either.
Whatever. He's like,
he's in school.
He
wasn't a real doctor either.
He is too. He operates on brains.
No. He's studying to operate on brains.
Don't diss my friend.
Your coworker.
My coworker. Don't diss him.
Give me a break.
So anyway, this is
All right.
This is the story of flying home, right?
Okay.
So and this day started at 5 a.m.
Right.
And then I had my whole thing, and then I rolled in back home.
Did you ever see the movie Catch Me If You Can?
At 3 minutes. Yes. And what's funny is that my high school friends actually said once, "Is that a documentary on your life?" And I was like, "No." But now I'm like, it just might be.
So I should check the check that you wrote to me.
Yeah, I would. I definitely would. And France, I hear, is really nice.
This time of year.
So here's my point of this whole story, right?
Yes.
So yeah, I get home at like 3 a.m. So my point is, I was up for 24 hours and I had a Red Bull. So I've actually been up for 48 hours now.
Which apparently doesn't actually give you wings.
No, they got sued.
Yes.
Millions of dollars.
What is wrong with people?
Now we're segueing into what I want to talk about. So that's story time. Traveling
story
with
time
me,
with Dr. Chapman.
With Dr. Chapman. So somewhere out in the ecospace of records in American Airlines,
right,
there's a signature underneath the words that says Dr. Chapman.
And it's referring to somebody else entirely.
Exactly. It wasn't me. I did not impersonate that's probably a federal crime I just admitted to.
I don't know you. I don't know. What am I doing here? I'm supposed to be somewhere else.
I've been kidnapped and taken out to the swamps. Help me, someone. Oh, so here's the point, though, is that the fear factor, right?
Yes.
The fear factor of this plane, and then the human curiosity factor of something tragic happening to somebody else, and everyone's recording it. And what are they going to do with that? Post it on Facebook and embarrass this girl?
Right.
It was the story, like I said, she was sitting in the chair next to somebody having a conversation and then vomited. There was no warning sign. So, I mean, this was a pretty graphic, situation for the plane. And I get it. Ebola's out there and everybody's talking about it. But here she is, this poor girl, and now she's in this situation, right? Now she's in this situation where, and then she's got anxiety and depression on top of that, so she's dealing with it.
And she's tagged in 100 YouTube videos vomiting all over the plane.
Exactly. And so I had and I hope it happened, but I asked him to delete everything, delete the videos. I mean, if this was your daughter, how would you want it?
No.
So it got me thinking, and I actually did call you the day before, and you and I had a really short conversation about positive content versus negative content,
right?
Fear content versus like good people doing great things content. And this got me, and you and I conversated and said, maybe we need to be a little more positive on the podcast.
Right.
So I went back and listened to a couple of our episodes, and I was like, we are fairly positive. We're bringing to light situations that are negative, but at the end of the day, we're trying to make it a positive situation, right?
Well, and hopefully our action step is the positive spin on what we're getting out of it, right?
Yeah.
So there are things that happen in this world. There's, stuff happens. So it's just what we make of it that really is the end all be all. So, and this is what we teach our youth too. So the more things that have happened to you or, just out of your control, at some point, you do take responsibility for your own actions.
Yeah.
And so you do need some form of encouragement to, to get to that place. And that's where the positive, that's where the whole positive thing comes from.
What it's interesting to me is that here we have this situation where something bad is happening to somebody. There's people doing good, obviously, but then there is the negative behind it. And this to me is kind of an analogy for information, right? There's positive things happening in this world every single day. I would say that on a whole, human beings are amazing. Like I would honestly say that yes, we get wrapped up into 25 million children are abused. We get wrapped up into, 1 out of 3 girls gets raped. We get all these different things, right? But in the most part, people are good,
Absolutely.
right?
I mean, just neighbors. Most people actually don't know their neighbors, but I do. I tend to always know my neighbor. Like, that's one thing that we always do. So I know my neighbors, and I know about 10 of my neighbors that are in the immediate proximity to us, maybe more. And out of those 10, there's one guy that has some illegal activities going on, but he's a great guy, good father.
You could smell it when you walk by, is what you're saying?
Yeah, or just sitting in the living room. Yeah. So, but he's a great guy, and was a great dad. He loves his kids. He has 6 children. Just a wonderful person. Whatever. Now there's another guy who's a total kook. He's got it all together. Good job or whatever. But out of that group of 10, maybe 12 neighbors I know, there's only one that I would really not want to associate with.
Yeah, that you'd keep your children away from.
Right.
So here's my point, is that as human beings, we're good, right? Like, we can say that. But there are people out there that are doing bad things. And this concept of let's just show life in the world as this happy, amazing place. I love that idea, and that's what I choose to see. I mean, if you look at the vision statement of a human project, that what we have internally, we see the world as it must be seen, full of love, hope, and joy. Because in the world we're in, like dealing with these children and sitting in the back of an airplane and handling a situation with vomit and anxiety, the world doesn't look so great all the time, right?
Right.
But we choose to see this person as not vomit and anxiety, but as a human being. So there is that aspect of what we choose to see each situation as. But when we're talking about information and we're trying to share stories with people, we have to sometimes go down that dark tunnel to pull people into the light.
And I got to be honest, I hate it. I don't like the stories. I don't watch the news. I mean, the only way I know about these things is because you send them to me.
Well, you send me stories too. You sent me
they
one
come
last
from
night.
Liviu. So
Okay, so I got it. So forget this big analogy of like, should we talk about good or evil or basic or simple? We need to just get rid of Liviu. Obviously,
you're the problem too.
He brings the content.
No, look.
So me and Liviu, we need to leave.
My point is
we're being exiled, Liviu. So just keep the camera on me. He doesn't exist
It could be
anymore.
my Facebook wall too. So all my Facebook friends, you're all banned. No, but seriously, my news comes to me. I don't go actively seeking out news.
Yeah,
I don't like to see it. I don't want to know about it. My wife told me about this story. I don't know if we're going to get into stories or not this episode, but there's this lesbian couple in San Francisco.
I was just in San Francisco. It's pretty this time of year.
And that's whatever. But the story is about to get. I don't even know how to say this. It upsets me so much. They adopted a boy. Cool. Awesome. They're taking care of a child. I love it. He's 11 now, and they have got him on hormone therapies to change him into a freaking girl. Are you out of your ever-loving minds? Like, that stuff drives me nuts.
I think we just did an episode on that.
Oh, my gosh.
So your wife tells you this story.
So my wife tells me the story. I'm like, I don't want to know that.
Yeah.
I don't care. I mean, I do care. That's not true. I obviously care. You can tell by my voice. But I don't. I prefer to live in a happy, shiny place
with purple people eaters.
Yes, full of birds flying and people dancing and.
Well, and that's the point. Like, I get that, right?
Yeah.
And I think that that's what we all should strive for, because bad stuff happens, right? And we've talked about this. You stub your toe, you have 2 choices: be mad about it, or crap, I stubbed my toe, move on.
Right.
Bad stuff happens in this world, right? People do stupid things. So do you focus on that, or do you ignore it, right? This goes back to even like Chad's episode of talking about you control the remote.
Yes.
I agree with all of that. But if we want to make a difference in this world,
that's it.
We have to talk about that story and not condemn the person and the human being and make it all like, clickbait and look at this.
Wait, it's worse. The government's paying for the medication.
Okay, now I'm mad.
There's no redeeming value to that story.
Yeah, now I'm mad. So we can't go down that rabbit hole because we're going to lose this point.
We're going to leave that one alone for another one. But okay.
But see, actually, this really ties in really well, because here's the point. If we don't talk about the real issues with the story,
right?
Like, it's not a gay and lesbian thing.
No.
It's not a government thing. It's not a boy turning into a girl thing.
It's 2 people that were obviously wounded, have some kind of deep-seated issue, probably with men, and just there's something that happened to them, and they really just need that hug.
Yeah. There's something deeper than just a situational thing. And when we talk about these stories, for example, why is it right now in the media, going back to your story thing, that in the last 3 weeks, we have had 4 stories of high school women teachers having sexual relations with high school boys?
Really?
Yes, 4 in the last few weeks. And here's the deal. Rush Limbaugh was quoted saying, where were these teachers when I was 15? And look, I get it. Like, that's comedy because these are boys having...
Because they're 15-year-old boys. They're like, this is cool. I got no problem with this.
And in fact, you know how the boys have been... How every story has broke? The boy has been bragging
yes, of course.
to his friends.
Yeah, I hit that.
Yeah. So here's my thing. We talk about this and we condemn this and we say how it's evil and it's bad. But what's the root? And why is it 4 in a short period of time? Is this happening all the time and the media is just deciding to cover this? Is this an epidemic that's happening? Is this a social thing that's happening? I mean, I don't have the answer and I don't want to, deliberate it. But this goes back to the point of why talk about things, positive or negative, if we're not going to create a solution?
Yeah.
And to me, that's what this entire show's about.
Yeah.
Is not necessarily creating a solution exactly, but saying, here's a situation, here's some insight to the situation, what would you do?
Yeah.
And then wrap it up with, here's this action step, here's what you can do with it. And so as I was analyzing this and I was analyzing this thought, what hit me was I got this thing for Life is Good. This is pretty epic with these geese. I'm sorry, everyone else can't be
Is
here.
anybody seeing these geese?
Is anyone seeing this? It's like
there's none in the pond. Did anybody fly behind us?
It's like I keep hearing their I can feel the wind from their feathers over my head, and I'm like, are we gonna get like an epic?
I feel like Ace Ventura, in the second one when he's doing the bat on the guy.
Anyway, so you've got to be watching this on video, people, to get this full fix.
Get over to the video, and I'm about to lose my microphone too. So if it falls, then so be it.
Yeah, there'll be some epic little crash sound. So I'll take over the show for right now while you're fixing your mic. My point is that if we're going to make a difference in this world, we have to illuminate some of these things that are happening. And what got me thinking was this company, I believe it's called Life is Good. They started this t-shirt, Life is Good, right? T-shirt. And they got to $3 million in their first 6 years selling a dang t-shirt. And I'm sitting there and I'm like,
I want one.
Yeah, I do too.
Yeah.
And it's awesome. And I was sitting there and I was thinking and I think I have one on. I'm not going to strip, but I think I have one, Yeah, right here. So the I Am Human, right? This is
That's
one of
not
our,
a Life is Good t-shirt.
It's not, but it's an I Am Human shirt, right? So t-shirts, right? A t-shirt that says Life is Good, $3 million. And they did other shirts, but $3 million in revenue. They build a whole brand around it. They're doing amazing things.
Right.
And epic stuff. Their founders are brothers. They've got a cool story. It's fun, all this stuff. So it got me thinking, we're trying to make a huge difference. 25 million youth dealing with these issues. Even more youth are dealing with social issues. We're trying to impact the world. We're trying to change the world. We're trying to do all these things. Is it that people want good content and they don't want to focus on the problems? Is it that people want fear or not fear, but they want that, they want to record something and put themselves in an upper echelons like, oh, I'm not vomiting on a plane.
Right.
Ha, this is funny.
Right.
Or do people want hard hitting things so that they can analyze it and solve the problem?
Yeah, I think so. I actually think that when you're talking, I'm like, that's what people look. Everybody likes to see the hero fall.
Yeah.
But I think people prefer to see the hero that fell come back, get back up, and do it again because it gives them hope, right? A lot of people are stuck in hopelessness. They're stuck in a place where maybe at some point they were, up here and some stuff happened, they crashed down, and now they're they think that their life is over or whatever. But at some point they have to feel like there's hope that they can come back and get the comeback tour going on.
Yeah. So, but to get to that comeback tour, just factually, right?
Sure.
So here's the fear analogy.
Yes.
300 people on a flight and 30 or 40 of them recording.
Yeah.
That's a 10% conversion rate, right? Here's
conversion rate.
Yeah, because this can make sense. Here is a Life is Good selling a t-shirt out of a van on the streets of New York or whatever, or Boston. And then $3 million 6 years later, right?
Right.
Here's another situation that we can speak to. Solving problems. Yeah, we've had great success, and I'm not saying that not, but looking at the conversion rates, what we're doing is the least that people want in a conversion side.
That's right.
I mean, We're hitting hard facts. We're hitting stories. We're coming up with solutions. We're coming up with ideas. We're getting you thinking. We're moving the needle. Yes, we have an amazing audience. We thank you. We love you guys. I mean, we get reviews all the time that just keep us rocking. So thank you.
Yeah.
We get emails. We get all this stuff. It's working. Don't get me wrong. But our conversion rate's not 10%. I'll tell you that much. And our conversion rate is not on track right now to do.
It's not 1%.
Yeah, to not do $6 million or $3 million or whatever in T-shirt sales alone.
Right.
So that's my point. Is human nature? Is it positive? Don't want to think about it. Life is good. Everything's great. Don't tell me about the bad stuff. Is it, you're having a problem, so that sucks for you? Ha ha ha. And I put like comedy, and I was listening to some other podcasts. I won't mention their names that are very long. And I couldn't listen to it because every other word was the F word or calling a girl the C word or, just making fun of life. And I just couldn't listen to it. But it's the number 2 most listened to podcast in its deal, right? So I'm like, where is this? And then, of course, like I said, we've had great success. This isn't a poor me. I'm looking at the psychology of this entire landscape and saying, Dr. Chapman is now saying, where is the real barometer? And is it fed through media? Is it fed through promotion? Is it fed through whatever? Where are human beings? I think that it's actually in a shift mode. I do think that the people in power, so the 50-year-old males, the 45-year-old females, people who are in jobs or secure, making decisions on a daily basis, what to put on TV, what to do, whatever, operate in only 2 zones. They operate in let's fear them and let's give them good news.
Yeah.
They don't operate in the third zone, which I feel our youth are in, which is here's the problem, cut the BS, stop filling me full of stuff, and what's the actual solution?
Yeah.
And don't give me the sales pitch or the workaround or the agenda. Just tell me, this is the problem, this is the solution, this is what I do.
Yeah.
And their non-focus ADD, environment that we keep throwing them in is actually creating this kind of like, let's just get it done. Like, we need to move the couch. The generation that's in control right now sits there and analyzes the situation and goes through and says, well, if we move the couch like this, this, and this, then this. The generation now is like, we need to move the couch, pick the dang thing up and move it over here.
Yeah.
Action. And if we have to move it again, fine. Yeah. But I think we're in a shift, which means that the people that are in power are telling us that we're a feel-good, fear-based society. When in reality, I'm thinking that we're in a shift where people are basically saying, that's been great, and for 50 years, that's worked.
Yeah.
But now we need to talk about things and we need to find solutions and not just talk about them for an agenda or clickbait or whatever.
Because things aren't working, right?
No,
I mean, that's the point. Is like, it's just not working. Depression medication for youth
is on an up,
and it doesn't work.
Nope.
And in fact, one of the side effects are, if you're under 18 and you take depression medication, suicide is one of the side effects of depression medication.
Another one?
Hello?
Is libido, sexual drive. It takes that away. So you've got that going on, which
actually it gives you homicidal thoughts too.
Yeah. So
in fact, every single school shooting that we've had recorded, the person was on medication, on depression medication.
Really?
Every single one.
Go look factual? It up. If that's factual, that's disturbing.
Yeah, right? I mean, like, nobody else is paying attention to this? Give me a break.
Yeah. And this is my point, right? Is that let's just feed them the drug, let's just feed them the situation. Let's just believe that this last 6 months, female teachers have just decided that teenage boys are their prey.
Hot.
Yeah, they're hot. Like,
I mean, come on.
That's
really?
what I'm saying. Is that I don't think that this is just
we know about it, or is this a blip on the radar?
This is part of the thought process. Is that we put a lot of attention onto certain things because, like we've talked about before, it's sexy, it's easy to market, right?
Yeah.
But then when you look at it, it's like, look, this has been going on forever. Like for example, underage drinking. That all of a sudden is a big problem in this country.
It was only been a problem because there is a law about the age of which you can drink.
Well,
people have drank since they were,
Yeah, but it's like you talk to a 97-year-old, you talk to a 103-year-old.
Okay.
They're going to tell you, we had people that were drinking,
right
behind the barn or whatever, right? Like this
they
isn't
give
a
wine
new
to
problem.
children in France.
Yeah, this isn't a new problem in our culture, but the media throws all these statistics at us saying that alcohol is doing this, this, and this. And then another agenda will say, oh no, this, breast cancer.
Yes.
I just learned this, okay? NFL, right? Doing all this stuff for breast cancer. It's amazing. If you've suffered with breast cancer, I mean, that's a horrible disease. But here's what's funny. $27 hat on NFL. Pink hat with the logo, right?
Right.
$27.
Okay.
Guess how much of that goes to breast cancer?
$26.50.
That's what you would assume. It's like $3.17.
Well, you got the cost of the hat.
Yeah, they're expensive. They're like a whole 87 cents.
You got the licensing for the use of the
NFL logo, which is $19,
and the licensing for the use of the team logo,
which is whatever else is left.
Okay.
And then you get $3 that goes to breast cancer awareness.
Plus a tip and tax to the guy that is in charge.
Yeah. So here's my point.
Okay.
Is that there's an example of us just making good, right?
Just dumping
good into a situation.
Just a sales pitch.
To make it so that we feel like we're doing something to make a change in the cause, in the problem. But in reality, only $3 is going there.
Let me ask you a question. What's the deal with research? I mean, come on. Did you know that I did this in high school?
You're really going off topic.
Oh, man. No, this is quite on topic, I think. So I did a research paper in high school on research. And I checked into the research that studied the flow rate of ketchup.
The flow rate of ketchup?
It's $2 million a year this one company got in government assisted grants.
I love our government.
To study the flow rate of ketchup and to determine what the ideal flow rate actually is.
What is flow rate? What are you talking about?
When you hold the ketchup bottle out and you don't want to just pour out of the bottle, but you don't want to have to beat the back of the bottle, to
See,
get
I got the wrong
come
job.
Out.
Because I think mustard needs that. We need to spend $2 million on mustard. Because here's the thing.
I love mustard.
No, but here's the thing. Totally off topic. Mustard, right? You leave it in the fridge for like 3 days. If you forget to shake it and you squeeze, it's just like this liquid comes out, right? This water, yellow water.
At 30-something years old, you don't know to shake the mustard?
I'm just saying. Why do we have to? It's the 21st century. Why are we shaking mustard?
I think I was 6 when I learned how to shake the mustard.
Why? We should spend $2 million.
It's natural food.
No, it's $2 million needs to be expended on why and how you don't have to shake mustard.
Okay, so my point is that we spent we did that one on the ALS thing. It was $15 million or something like that, and $3 million of it went to research. Okay, I don't understand the costs of research.
Yeah,
like what are they researching? How long have they been researching breast cancer?
Yeah, and this comes down to, you bring up a really good point, is that it's labor is your number one thing.
Yes.
Material is your number two thing.
Yes.
And time is your number three. And then the facility costs and all that.
So, where does that research come from?
Well, it's just all those variables, right? It's like that's where the money is going. If we really got down to it. And then, there's going to be a breakthrough. Somebody's going to have some amazing breakthrough where they solve it.
Yeah, but they don't. See, we know where the breakthrough comes from? Louis Pasteur. He left his yogurt out overnight,
True.
right? There's a young girl just started at MIT or one of these that discovered the cure. I can't remember what it was the cure for, but it was something like AIDS or something insane like that.
Yeah.
It never, ever, ever comes through these companies that spend billions of dollars researching things because their job is to research.
And so why would they want to solve?
Why would they want to solve
So
it?
this goes back to what we're talking about.
That's right. That was my point.
There you go. So you brought it back.
Damn.
Good job. Good job. I appreciate you doing that.
I knew I could get it around.
Here's the point is that, so is it our job as human beings then to never be fixed, quote unquote, healed, whatever, but I'm going to use the word fixed because that's mainstream. Is it the job of human beings to never be human beings to the fullest of extent? I mean, that's kind of what we're saying, right? Because if we really want, it's not that complicated to fix this. It's not that complicated to figure out the perfect flow for freaking ketchup.
I literally, you give me one afternoon, I'll nail it. I guarantee you, I'll nail it.
Exactly. So, but it can't be that easy because we got to figure out a way to spend this $2 million we got, right? So my point is that breast cancer, I bet it's pretty, quote unquote, I'm not belittling the situation, but I bet it's pretty simple to solve it. I bet we could probably figure it out.
Gerson therapy or one of those. I mean, there are people that cure cancer around the world.
Yes, but you can't say that word, right?
No, and in fact, it's against the law in the United States to use natural forms of cures for cancer. It's against the law in the United States. So people have to go to Tijuana to get cured.
Or Mexico. And you can't use the word
Tijuana's
cured.
In Mexico, by the way.
That's what I said.
You said or Mexico.
Oh, I meant anyway, Mr. Geography. Anyway, the point is, now that I feel like I'm a doctor, dang it. So anyway, my point though is that as simple as it is to solve the flow of ketchup,
sure,
I feel it's just as simple to solve the issues with humanity. And I'm going to go Trekkie
Love
on
it.
you.
Oh, Trekkie.
I'm going Trekkie. We wrote about it in the 50s.
Okay.
We wrote about, Star Trek. It is an evolution of psychology of the human development. It's not necessarily about technology. The technology was a subplot of the actual show. It's the psychology. No racism.
Right.
That's interesting. The first ever interracial kiss on television. Right.
With an alien.
With an alien is written into the show. So we've the whole Star Trek environment, right? Earth has moved past racism. It's moved past judgment. It's moved past age, right? You have captains that are 20 years old.
Right.
You have, Wesley on the show that is a brilliant genius doctor. Hey, it's just my name, right? It just comes with the territory.
You weren't impersonating a doctor. You were impersonating an actor.
Yeah.
Or a character.
Character. So anyway, my point is that that's it. I was just doing a drama project on the plane.
Yeah. She was part of the deal.
That was all part of it. So don't come after me, FBI, or whoever comes after you.
I'm not talking. Plead the fifth.
I was forced into the confession. The point is that there it is.
Yeah.
There it is, right? And it's right in front of us. And then the show goes and shows how we, as human beings, are traveling the galaxy and finding other races and other life forms who need that kind of development, who need that kind of assistance, who are there to be helped.
Right.
So I'm saying, we wrote this in the freaking 50s and 60s and 70s and put it on it's there. The solution is there.
It's there in Star Trek.
In Star Trek.
I got to go back through them.
You've got to. But just watch the psychology of it. The racism, interracial, women in power. I mean, all these things are happening when the world, the United States of America and the rest of the world was oppressing women. Black, you had Martin Luther King, you had all these things happening. And here's this guy writing a sci-fi thing that's solving humanity.
Right.
So just like ketchup can be poured very easily out of a bottle, and like you said, give me an hour, we'll figure it out.
Right.
We're with that same way with humanity. But we have to look at these scenarios, talk about them, put pride, put all these things aside, and move past it and move forward.
Yeah.
But as to your point, the companies doing research, the media, the marketing, the sales, they'll never let it happen, right?
No, why? Why would you?
Because of
You're making
money.
Millions and millions of dollars a year.
Yeah. And that's my point, is we have three ways of kind of looking at this whole world. Positive and everything's great. Don't talk to me about negative. Sure. Let me live in fictional land. Fear, be scared. Ebola's horrible. Like today, somebody just got diagnosed with it in New York, and the guy went and ran, subways and stuff. But what's interesting is everybody who's had it now is fine in the United States. Well, in the United States, they got sick.
And here's what's interesting about it. Okay, we talked about this before. It's just a new virus that our bodies aren't used to.
Yeah, and it's going to take some time. And the countries that are suffering with this are the same countries who have
I'll
problems.
Take it. Just bring it to me so that I can be immune.
No, please don't. No, take that off. Edit, cut, stop the cameras. Don't say something like that.
It's just,
but I know what you're saying.
It's just the fear, man. It's just. My point is though, you were
talking
about
the
fear, right? The fear is the control, and I'm talking stock prices.
Yep, dropped.
Gosh, there are
the whole entire United States economy
shut
crashed
down.
Because of a virus.
Right.
Because of a little tiny virus. And people were like...
In Sierra Leone.
What's funny is everyone was calling in all these radio shows and all these different things I was listening to as I was traveling across the country. And they were saying well, what about terrorists? Terrorists are going to come in and use Ebola. And the guy's like, listen, do you know what it would take for that to happen? First you have to be infected with it. Then you have to wait. And then the only time, quote unquote, right now, the only time it's infectious is if you're actually sick. So the person would actually have to be sick, come into the country. We're all on high alert. That's going to be weird. I noticed and witnessed, what would happen if you get stuck on a plane in today's world. Everybody freaks out.
Right.
So all that's going on. On top of that, he was like, do you know how much easier it is to strap a bomb to your chest and go blow yourself up than be sick for a week?
Right.
And then...
Or mail some anthrax.
Exactly. And then on top of that, they have to get their entire camp, and everybody else could get sick.
Hey, this is how we end ISIS right here.
Is give them a bullet.
That's right.
That's how we solve that problem.
That's right. They start screwing around with it. Somebody spills a vial, and that's it. They're all wiped out.
They're all wiped out. There we go.
Problem solved.
But my point is that the fear factor.
Yes.
So we've got life is good, everything's great. Don't tell me about anything. that's where, life is. Then you got the fear factor. And good and evil use both of these, right?
Yes.
Churches use fear.
Sure.
Churches use life is good. This
Sure.
is the way it is. Believe in Christ and all your problems go away. Don't believe in Christ and you're going to die.
Sure.
Media. Oh, look, people are great in the world. Oh, wait, everything sucks because this is all the problems in the economy.
Right.
But nobody's over here saying, hey, here's a situation. Here's a lesbian couple in San Francisco who adopt a little boy and then are trying to change him into a girl. Okay, that sucks and that's a horrible story, but let's put everything aside and let's talk about the why. Right. Why does this couple feel that way? And let's talk to them.
And if it's all about money anyways, wouldn't it be great? Then you set up a foundation that actually helps somebody like that.
Yeah.
Right.
And that's
if your thing is to make money from it. I mean, right. I mean, there's money in that stuff
there's
too.
There's tons of money in making a change.
I mean, and then you're actually making real change instead of just researching stuff that doesn't mean anything.
But it's not quick money. I think that's the difference, is that I can get quick money by creating a podcast title that says, Wes gets Ebola. Boom.
Right. Boom.
We're going to get clicks, right?
Right.
Podcast host potentially has Ebola. Boom. Like everyone in podcasting.
It would be viral.
It's going to be
no pun intended.
Exactly. Right. But that's not the point.
Right.
But that's the quick money. That's the quick thing. Right.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm looking at, saying, okay, wait a minute. We've kind of been immune, going all the way back now to the story about the female teachers, because I had a point with that. We've been immune to the concept of pretty girl, 30-year-old boy, 30-year-old man teacher, English teacher. Pretty girl says, English teacher's really cool, shows me attention. They have sex.
Okay.
Now guy's in jail. We're pretty much immune to that story.
Right.
We get it. Like, I just laid it out. That's that story.
Right.
What we're not immune to, and we can't understand, and makes you click on links, is girl teachers doing it.
Right.
And now and one of the 4 stories is 2 girl teachers. I mean, the guy had a threesome.
Wow.
These are getting immense amounts of shares.
Teachers.
Yes. Immense amounts of shares
I'm
are
shocked.
happening. These are shocking stories, right? But you're shocked. But what if I told you that it was a male teacher and 2 girls? Not as shocked, right?
Well, 2 male teachers and 1 girl.
Okay, that's shock. Well, that's probably going to be the headline next week. But that's my point, is that we're creating no solution, right? So we have to keep upping the shock. We have to keep upping the shock value. It's not.
And why is that worse?
Shocking.
That feels worse.
Which one?
The 2 guy teachers.
I don't know, because it's the power thing, right? It's 2 guys.
Because men are stronger.
Yeah, and taking advantage of 2 girls. I don't know. I don't know. Psychologically, you're programmed that way. But
it's awful. It's all awful.
But you see my point, though.
I'm having trouble seeing your point.
Okay, my point is.
I gotta be honest.
Well, maybe you need to open your eyes.
What
and
is
stop
the point?
Looking at
what are you saying?
My point is that rather than the three things I've laid out very clearly, and everybody but you understands. Even Liviu is shaking his head.
I'm just not paying attention. That's why I'm looking at geese and stuff.
Exactly. Is that the first 2 don't work.
Right.
The third one, there's the monies thing. But here's the thing, is that the first 2 don't work either, because we keep upping the game in media.
Yeah.
We keep coming up, whether it's conspiracy, whether it's factual, I don't care. The news keeps getting worse and worse and worse. The fear is worse and worse and worse. Yeah. Here we are in the United States, the 21st century. We have all these medical advancements. We control the the airways. We can do whatever we want. Obama could put a little signature on a piece of paper and shut down all air traffic in this country if he wanted to.
Boom.
Boom, it's over. 21st century, yet a little tiny virus, microscopic virus, can shut down the stock market and cause Texas to go into a statewide panic and pull their kids out of school and shut down schools that were 400 miles away from somebody being sick. A little tiny virus, okay?
Okay.
So the fear concept, and then we're sitting here saying the 3 or 4 people who have gotten the virus are all fine. They're tweeting, they're texting, they're saying they're doing great, that it's working. One guy I think is actually being released, like whatever. Like all these things are happening. It's not as big a deal as quote unquote. It's a horrible deal in Africa and these countries because of some of their health conditions.
Right.
I get that. But this fear factor isn't enough. So it's not fearful, right? People are kind of starting to back down a little bit and be like, oh, looks like it's fine. Then this morning, what happens? Front page of the New York freaking thing. Here's this doctor who went over there, came back. Now he's sick, and guess what? He went bowling, and he got in an Uber car, and he also got on the subway, and he went to a restaurant.
He coughed on the whole city.
He coughed on the whole city of New York, and now everybody be scared again.
Right.
And I guarantee you, when we get back, because it's 7 o'clock in the morning, we started filming this. When we get back, the stock market's probably going to have a dip today, and it's going to be because New York has Ebola. New York. That was the title. New York has Ebola. So my
I'm not
point
checking.
is that here we are constantly upping the fear factor, upping the games, and upping everything. You're checking the stocks
I'm
right
checking
now?
it right now.
Yeah. Here we are.
My stock is killing it, man.
Good.
I don't know what.
Good.
Actually, the Dow's up.
Liviu's bringing
The
the Dow's up.
The Dow's up 86.
All right, I'm not a stock enthusiast, but you get my point, right?
And although Enlink, which is an Ebola company, is down $1.50.
Oh, see? Well, that would go against what I'm
And
saying.
New Link Genetics Corporation. Bam. Anyways,
Good.
I just had to find out.
Yeah, well, you
Okay.
found out.
So here's the deal. I get your point, and your point is that there's a third factor that nobody's focusing on, nobody's paying attention to. There's a third, the third wheel. I don't know what to call it.
It's the third peg, third leg.
The third leg of this whole thing is that we are human. We are people. We have emotions. We have emotional connection. We can't just we no longer, our youth no longer want to sit back and be force-fed information, good, bad, or otherwise.
Right.
They're an action generation.
Yeah.
And we need to provide them actionable steps that they can take into themselves and create their own lives moving forward, their own futures, because they're tired of being marketed to.
Exactly.
Is that? I mean, that's the gist.
That's the gist with the
super
with the concept that the only way to do that is we've got to shed light on the real situations.
Right.
As the sun.
This is a mentorship thing, really. What this is.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, this is a completely a mentorship thing. It's like, where are the mothers and fathers? And I'm not talking about actual moms and dads. I'm talking about the people like us that go out and father kids, and where did those people go? It's like there used to be a huge mentorship, programs all over the whole, and there still are.
And that was my point, is that's where the media wants us to believe the world is heading, right?
Right.
But there are amazing human beings on this planet.
That's true.
And that's my point, is that
we need to illuminate those.
We get knocked down by saying we don't talk about that enough, and maybe we should talk about it more, and I get that.
Yeah.
But what I'm saying is that there's a balance between talking about those kind of people, but then really creating a movement where we stop these other two factors of fear and life is good. I mean, it's a balance, right?
Life is good, man.
It is good, and that's my thing.
But I know what
that's
you're saying.
Personal.
That's the whole.
That's your personal feeling.
It is true. That's
right?
my personal feeling. It's my personal perspective I've had my entire life,
which makes it so you can deal with negativity or deal with problems or deal with whatever, and you don't get stressed out.
I know the sun will come up tomorrow. Bet your bottom dollar that tomorrow there'll be sun.
And now we're auditioning to
Show
Broadway.
Tunes.
Liviu's talking. None of you can hear this.
He says playing ignorant is the easiest way to solve a problem. Is that what you're saying? To ignore a problem.
No, you're saying like the ignorance. So you're right. Like being ignorant to a situation is the easiest way to say it doesn't exist.
Well, and playing the life is good card is not, in my opinion, being ignorant, right? It doesn't actually fix. I mean, it's not like I'm ignoring that these things are. I know they exist. I know they're out there. I believe that we are in a world that is got lots of bad things happening to it. But I just choose to see all the bright and beautiful things, which is part of how you heal and how you grow is to focus on the good things that are happening, the positive things, and not focus on the negative things. And the positive things will outweigh the negative things.
With the Cadillac, or with the caveat that you have to heal the negative.
Well, you have to say they're real.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? So they do exist.
They do exist.
So you did have pain. Something did happen to you. You do have whatever. I mean, those, you can't just say, well, they're not real because life is good. And I think that's what Liviu was talking about. Is like, that's the point, is that you can't just go, oh, it's all, candy canes and kittens. I mean, there's real stuff. There's really geese flying behind me right now. So you got to acknowledge that these people have pain.
Yeah.
And even if their pain is their choice to have pain from old pain, right? There's still, you have to acknowledge it, you have to accept it, and then you highlight the good things, the beautiful things about life.
Yeah, which is what we do with the children.
Which is why we're out here.
Yeah, exactly. And that's why we chose, why are we doing the podcast?
We could be sitting in a room.
Yeah, and why are we doing it in these crazy locations that take us 2 hours to get to?
Yes.
But it's because it's human. right?
It's human.
This is where nature. It's part of Earth. It's part of who we are. It's part of our environment. It's part of what makes us great human beings. I mean, we can't control the lighting. Liviu freaks out at us because the sun's like blaring us out, and
Hey,
it's not going to be the greatest.
It is what it is.
But it is what it is.
Yeah.
And it's the world we live in, and we adapt to it. We figure it out. You as an audience are adapting to the sun being on the side of my face, and I probably look like an angel.
It was on my face before too.
Yeah, well, you didn't look like an angel like I do. So
a cherub.
Dr. Chapman.
Dr. Chapman.
Angel.
Oh. Okay, so what's your action step, doctor?
My action step, doctor. My action step is quite simple, is that have the mentality, good timing, have the mentality that life is good in your own environment. Like, you need to look at situations and understand that you have two options. And I say this all the time. You can either be a victim or a hero. So every situation in life can be addressed with that. So inside your own mind, your own heart, everything, have that. Then when you're secure in that, then you can take my action step, because you cannot do my action step if you're not insecure in that mentality.
Okay.
So get there. Then this is my action step. Change the world.
Bam! Action step. Change the world.
And by doing that, it's by it's by illuminating, to take Corbin's word,
Cue the
cue the light, is to illuminate some of the situations that are really happening, and look at the human reason behind that. Don't just share a Facebook post and judge the
action or whatever.
The action, whether it's a girl vomiting in the back of an airplane or two girls, in San Francisco changing the sex of a child.
Yeah.
Don't judge that and share that for its shock factor. Change it by coming up with a solution, a blog post, a video, a whatever. Create the change. Be the change that you want to see in the world, right? We hear that all the time. But create the change. But you can't do that if you haven't mastered the victim hero. You can't. Because you need to be able to see the negativity, but then pull the positivity out of it.
I like it. My action step is be a hero. And know that you don't have to be perfect to be a hero.
Yeah.
I mean, just because I occasionally have good dad moments. I also have bad dad moments sometimes. And
don't we all?
My kids still think I'm their hero because I want to be their hero.
Mm-hmm.
And so my action step is this: be a hero. Be a hero to somebody. It doesn't matter who it is. Maybe it's the kid next door whose dad ignores him or whatever. Just, pay him to mow your lawn or something. You don't have to necessarily do the whole big brother, put my arm around you, whatever. But find a way to be a hero to somebody. And on some level, I think that is what's going to make a huge change in your own personal world. And if you're in a bad spot and you're in a bad position, go be a hero to somebody and your position will improve. I guarantee it.
I agree. And it was great timing. My mic just fell off my chair.
That was an excellent catch, by the way.
So this is the deal. Like, again, for those of you who are listening to this on, just the podcast portion, we'll always be here. We're going to release these at the same time, but we've got the vidcast. So you go search in iTunes and it's the human vidcast instead of the human podcast. It's the human vidcast. We are hiking out into these locations. It's crazy. We're carrying our gear with us. We just got these chairs, which I think are pretty epic. They're very comfortable.
I actually really
it's almost
love the chairs.
Like slouching comfortable.
I'm trying to figure out how to sit up straighter.
We gotta figure all that. I'm probably looking like a little I'm over here. But we tried to mount them and the mount didn't work. So we'll revisit that and we'll create a better mount for our third video. And they'll be epic. Probably by like the third or fourth video, we'll have this all nailed in, and we'll get Liviu to get like an assistant who blocks the sun stuff for us, Liviu, you need to work on that.
Work
on the sun blocker.
But he can't do both.
Yeah. So if you want to volunteer and you live where we live, which
is like to hike.
Redding, California, and you like to do hike, this is we're about to do a pretty cool hike.
Oh man.
Probably in the next 2 or 3 episodes we'll be doing that. Maybe tomorrow. We'll see what the weather's like.
If we can, I would love to. Well, I've got tomorrow. We've got stuff with my kids
for kids,
so we can't go that far.
Okay, we'll figure it out. But we're
gonna go to really crazy, awesome
We're gonna
places,
start doing some really crazy locations. These are our warm up while we get ready. So REI, I know you're listening.
Please,
you definitely want to sponsor this podcast.
We do.
GoPro,
we want to do one hanging in one of those beds, like off a rock.
Yep.
Where we're hanging, dangling off the rock. Liviu's in one, like trying to video us.
Yeah. We want to do some crazy stuff. So we're just getting started. So if you're into like National Geographic, man versus wild, / psychology, this is your show.
This is it.
So
Bear Grylls. Liviu is challenging you to come on our podcast.
All right, let's
and
do it.
you're my and my children's hero.
Okay.
So there
let's
you
make
go.
sure we tag him in the social media. Natalie, if you want to make sure we
tag
get that.
Bear Grylls.
Let's get that
I
going.
have a friend from the same town that you were born in or raised in, whatever.
That's good. Well, now that the side of my face is literally feeling like it's on fire.
Right.
Like literally.
Right.
I'm Wes Chapman. Take action.
I'm Ryan Andrews. Be happy.
Thank you for listening to the Human Podcast. Is there a website? Yes, ahumanproject.com. Bye!
To learn more about A Human Project, go to ahumanproject.com.